In this video tutorial, we'll be taking a look at manually creating Zoom meetings using the Zoom website. So to get started, you're going to want to go to ncsu.zoom.us, and here you can use your Unity ID to log in. From here, you'll see a listing of all of your upcoming meetings. You can see previous meetings. You can see the details for your personal room. But let's go ahead and create a new meeting. So we're going to schedule a meeting. And the reason why you might want to use this website is because it gives you a little bit more granular control over the way that your meeting is set up and configured than just using the Google plugin, which I realize a lot of folks do. When you use the Google plugin and you click that Make It a Zoom Meeting button, that's great, but it can only give you the default settings for the NC State meetings. And so you're going to miss out on a couple of different things here. So in this case, let's just start at the top. We're going to do a topic, and we're just going to call this My Test Meeting. And I'm going to add a little description here. This is a test meeting description. And I want this to take place today at... And let's go to 1 p.m. And this is going to be for 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's in this time zone. Now, is this a recurring meeting? We can set up recurring meetings through this, which is handy. We can also require registration if we want to know who exactly will be in attendance. In this case, we're going to shut that off, and that's the default. We can generate a new meeting ID, or we can use our personal meeting room. And the reason why you might not want to use your personal meeting room is once somebody has access to your personal meeting room and ID, they can always kind of go back and join into those meetings. And so when you generate a new meeting ID automatically, that reduces the chances that somebody's going to hop into that meeting. So that's particularly useful if you're going to be hosting a subcommittee meeting where you don't want members of your staff to accidentally pop in, or if you're going to be having some sort of, supervisory or confidential conversation, you don't want to do that in your personal meeting room. If you have templates, you'll be able to select them from here. Here you can change your passcode and set it up so that only users with the link and the passcode can join the meeting. And so in this case, it's going to randomly generate something for you, but if you really feel like you want to change it, you can certainly do that. You could have a waiting room, even for your personal meetings. So if you want to just admit folks to the waiting room and have them be admitted one by one, you can do that. This is certainly a great option for when you are configuring a Zoom meeting for something like an interview, right? Where you want to speak with your committee before you admit the person that you're actually interviewing. And then you can require or not require authentication to join. So if you require authentication to join, you can say, okay, well, anybody with a Zoom login can get in, or NC State users only. The default here is that you can do is NC State users only. But if you're going to have folks from outside the organization, you may want to do sign into Zoom. And as long as they have a Zoom login and they can create that for free, they should be good to go. At this point, I think almost everybody has one, so it's not a huge ask to require that. Otherwise, anybody can just join in with the passcode. And then you can also add authentication bypass, so you can get them special invitation meeting links by adding their name and their email address here, and it will send them a unique invitation, which is another way to do this if, for example, they don't want to authenticate, or you want everybody to authenticate. You only want NC State users, but you also want to add somebody who is maybe a Gmail user or somebody outside. That gives you the way to do that. When you're ready, you can go ahead and just click Save. And you'll notice that all the information is here on your save. Now, some things that you couldn't do right from the get-go. So you can save the meeting as a template. So if you have particular things that you want here, and you're going to be using this over and over again, you can do it. I don't do it because I don't change things that much, but if you really highly customize your setup, you can save it as a template and give it a name. So you could call this meeting template 1. And we saw before where you're able to actually go in and use that as the setup, and they'll just change the settings by clicking it just once, which is super handy. You can always go back and edit the details. So I noticed that my description went away when I left the page, so I'm going to do my test description. And I'll hit save again. And there we go. Now my description shows up. I'll also have the ability to copy the invitation. That invitation will actually copy the full invitation with all of the IP room, meeting join, all of the dial-in locations, and then as well the passcode that was set and the unique Zoom meeting. You can copy that all at once just by clicking copy meeting invitation, and it's on your clipboard, so you can use your paste key combo on your keyboard to go ahead and add that. You can start the meeting at any time you want to. You can also convert a meeting to a webinar. If you have webinar access, you can do that. So if you accidentally created something as a meeting, but you really want it as a webinar, you can convert it over if you have that level of access on the account. And then polls and quizzes. So if you want to add a poll or a quiz, you have to do that ahead of time. And this is a great way to do that. So in this case, we're just going to make a regular poll, and we're going to say this training, let me spell it right. This training was useful, ? And then we're going to say, how would you rate this training? We're going to say incredible, and then our other choice is going to be excellent. We can also add additional questions and different question types even. So if we want to do multiple choice, we can say, what topics would you like to see next? And it could be something like Google sidebar, maybe something about adding printers, and perhaps something about using self-service on macOS, right? And so people can select as many or as few of these as they would like. You can always reorder questions by dragging and dropping, and you can delete responses by clicking the trash can. Okay. And when we're done, we'll click save, and then we'll notice that we have our poll down here. We can see that it's not been launched yet. We can duplicate that poll if we'd like to. We can also delete it, and then we can click the pencil to go back in and edit it, and we can edit any individual question that we would like, or add a new question in between by clicking the little plus. If we've got a plus here, we can add it in between those two. And we can always duplicate it as well, but cancel. So that gives you kind of an overview of using and managing your meetings. So let's go back and take a look at meetings. So we have my test meeting. If I actually don't want to run this, I can click delete. And it's going to say, okay, you can recover it within 7 days from the recently deleted. So let's say we accidentally deleted it, right? We can go up to recently deleted. Here it is, and click recover, and go back to upcoming meetings. And there's our meeting again. We can start this whenever we would like to, or go back into the edit screen that we were just looking at. Let's go ahead and just delete this. There we go. And so there we have it. We have all of our tools that you can use directly from within the ncsu.zoom.us Zoom setup. This is a super handy interface for you to go in and learn how to create meetings here. It gives you a little more control than other places, and it gives you access to everything else that you have here too. So if you have any meeting recordings, you can go find them within this location. You can even look to see when you had local recordings created. If you have general meeting setup changes that you want to make, there's a pretty extensive settings area that you can go in and look at, and then of course you can take a look at your account profile so that you have a chance to see what the details are for your account profile. And that's all you have it. I hope this has been helpful and that it's given you some additional information about creating and using the Zoom manual meeting setup tools.